But let's get back to what we were talking about. And so we watched all these things happen in the shadows, right? Hopefully you remember. And you didn't forget what you saw like 1 minute ago. Right? Okay. So we talked about the first day. Now let's talk about the second day. Right? So let's read this together. Then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it lie on the waters of the water. So the firmament looks like a hard word, but actually means the atmosphere. Basically, the sort of the air that we live in, the sky that we see. Okay? The sky is very beautiful. It gives us rain, right? It shows us the sky blue. Yeah. Does anyone get unhappy when you see the open sky? Very sunlit sky. Connie, you get angry. You get sad when you see it. Okay? Okay. So the sky has clouds, and that gives us rain, and that gives us eventually food. Okay? So how about the third day? Right? So I'll read it. You want to read it together? Okay, let's read it together. Then God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place.
And let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Genesis chapter 1 verse 9 to 10.
So God on the third day created the land that we live on and the sea that we love very much. Who likes going to the beach here? I don't. Not many people. Then do you like going to the beach? You don't like going to the beach? Right. But so the sea is not just a place to swim in, right? It's very important for every one of us because we throw away things, right? You guys you guys poop and you guys pee and you guys throw away trash, right? Yeah. But ever wonder what happened to them?
It goes down into the ocean.
Right. So without the ocean, the earth would get very, very dirty. But because God made the ocean, right? Because God made the seas, the earth can actually clean itself. Right? So without the ocean, we can't be living here. Right? So the blue sea is always beautiful. Okay? And also, on the third day, right, God created plants. Right? So it says, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind. So he made different things for different purposes. So we all know and love fruits, right? I love pineapples.
Yummy.
I love watermelons are really good, right? So all these are different kinds, right? Different kinds of species, but they're all good for us. And of course there are bad fruits too, but they have their own purpose. I personally really like pomegranate. It's really fun to eat. Right? Everything, right? Get the little pieces in there, right? And we look around at different plants, the green woods, right? And the green, it really calms us, right? We play there, and it's really refreshing, right? But if we look carefully into all these plants, we're going to see very intricate, very complicated design. Okay? So if we zoom into a little leaf, okay? Oh, okay. Okay. So if we actually zoom into a leaf, it's actually going to look something like this. So these green things there are the things that give the leaves the green color. Okay? So you've never thought that leaves would actually look like this if you zoom into it, right? But God made it so. Okay? And so each of these is also very complicated as well. So as I've said, as we've learned, by seeing what the builder made, that tells us something about the builder. Right? So by looking at what God made, we can see that God is indeed almighty. Right?
Actually, inside it looks something.
Right. So these things give it the green color. Of course, there are very strange plants like these ones too.
Spikies.
Okay. Anyone know what this is?
Fly.
Right. These are fly traps. They're Venus fly traps. Okay, so we're gonna watch a video about it.
Yay!
Wow.
Yay! Yeah, me too.
the sundew. It makes itself very attractive, oozing nectar across the brim of each leaf. But any visiting insect had better watch out for these 6 tiny hairs. This fly has to tread carefully. If it strikes one hair, it can carry on feeding, but a timer has been set. A second strike in less than 20 seconds, and the fly is doomed. An electrical impulse is triggered, and the leaf snaps shut in just a fraction of a second. The tips lock together like prison bars. Is very big or very small, it may just manage to escape. But most are trapped and die.
Okay.
That was awesome.
And so these are scary, but we don't have to be scared of it because
They're
it's
small.
for flies, right? They're actually really small if you actually look at them. So like these ones, they're it's kind of scary, but it's also incredible, right? So God is designed each and every one of them differently for us to see and be amazed, right? So now let's go to the 4th thing. Right. Let's read this together. Yes, read this. The flies at least. Alright, let's read this together. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights. Okay. Read the 15. Let's start from here, okay? And let them be for lights in
the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14 to 15.
Okay, so on the 4th day, what did God make? Did anyone tell me?
The divides of the day and the night.
And then what else did he do? Not sure? Okay, so on the 4th day, right, he gave us, using the stars, right? He created the stars and the moon and the things that we see in the night sky. So if you guys go outside right now, you guys would probably see these things that God created on the 4th day. Okay, so what did I say around the last part of, before we took the break? That the builder knows what he built, right? Okay. So let's see if God knows what he builds. So, I'll read this verse. Okay. Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? Okay, so let's look at this part first. Okay, so God is asking this person whose name is Job. It's not Job. It's Job. Okay, he's asking this person, can you do this? Right? But by saying that, God is saying he did it. Right? So God is asking Job, can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades? Right? Well, does anyone know what the Pleiades is here?
No.
Not sure, right? Well, let me teach you. Right? The Pleiades are these stars right here.
Wait, they're like together.
Right? So they look very bright, right? But so let's count the stars. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, right? A few stars, right? Okay. And so for a long time, before telescopes, people thought that these were only a few stars, like 7 or 8. Okay? But what is God saying here? Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades. So he's calling the cluster, or he's calling the Pleiades a cluster. Okay? But let me explain to you what is a cluster, first of all. Okay? Well, a cluster is a bunch of things kind of combined together, like put together. So like here, this little thing, this little group is a cluster. Okay? So in real life, we can call a grape like a cluster of little fruits, right? This is one grape, right? But it's a bunch of different little fruits, or a bunch of little fruits that are put together into one plant, right? So that's kind of what it is. And so, but let me remind you, or let me tell you, that the book of Job was actually written about more than 3,000 years ago, okay? But telescopes to actually see these stars, right, came to just not even 500 years ago, okay? But, so when we started using telescopes, we realized that the Pleiades actually look like this, right? And they're actually a bunch of stars. More than, what did we say before? It was 7 or 8 stars? No, but more than 400 stars are part of the Pleiades.
More than 45.
Yeah, I mean, 400 is more than 45.
But
Right?
330.
Okay? And so, I mean, how could Job have known this fact without a telescope?
Maybe.
Maybe he just guessed. But no, right?
God.
But Job knew because God was the one who spoke to him. And God is who? He is the creator of the universe. So he knows what he created. And so through Job, he is showing to us that he's the one who made these stars. And that's why he knows it's a cluster. There's a bunch of stars put together. Okay?
And
Right.
stars can be like
Okay, what about the last part? Right. Can you loose the belt of Orion? Has anyone heard of the Orion? You've heard of the Orion, the constellation, right? The stars?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So if we go outside, I think we can probably see it.
I can see it.
oh yeah.
Okay? So if we go outside, it's going to look something like this. Like
Yeah.
3 pretty bright stars like this. Okay? It's called a belt because in a long time ago they thought it's just like a person there.
Holding a
And
buffalo
these 3
something.
stars are his belts. You guys know what belts are? Right?
Yeah.
I'm wearing them right now. Right? Okay, so these 3 stars are called the Orion's belts. Okay? But God is asking Job, can you loose it? So what does that mean?
Can
It
you
means
take
that
it out?
God already loosed it, right? So he can do it, but Job can't. Okay? Well, what does that mean? If we look at it right now from Earth, it's going to look like these stars are very close to each other, right? They look pretty close to each other, and that's why people called it a belt, right? But really, it turns out when we, not even 100 years ago, right? When was the book of Job written? More than 3,000 years ago, right? So it turns out that those 3 stars are actually very far from each other. It just looks close because we're looking at it from Earth. Okay? So this is Earth right here. I don't know why it's covered up. Okay, so we look at it from here, but the actual stars, the 3 stars in the belt, the first star is over here. The second star is over there, way over there, and the 3rd star is actually over here. So try putting your fingers like this. Right? Look at it like this. I mean, they look close to each other, right? But then really, they're this far apart. So it's like that. So those 3 stars, from the side, they look like they're close to each other. But you look at it from the side, they're actually very, very, very far from each other. So meaning that those stars are already loosed from each other. Okay? So how could have Job known this? He couldn't, right? So how could Job know this? Because right, God told
God
us.
spread out.
Right? Because God is the creator, he knows what he built, right? And these stars are what he built. Okay? And so that's why he was able to tell Job that the belt of Orion is already loose. Right? What about this verse? Let's read it together. As for the earth, from it comes breath, but underneath
Underneath it is turned up as by fire. Job chapter 28, verse
5. Okay, so again, this is in the book of Job. Job writes, as for the earth, from it comes bread. So it's saying that from the earth that we live on, the surface, we get bread, right? We plant things and we get tomato and we get chili peppers, right? So we get bread, right? We get food from it. But then it says underneath it is turning up. It's getting mixed up, like it's by fire. Okay? And so when was the book of Job written, everyone?
More than
More than
3,000.
3,000 years ago, right? And so, not even 100 years ago, we finally discovered that underneath everything that we look at, the green and the blue and really pretty stuff, underneath the earth is actually fire. Very, very, very hot stuff flowing around, almost like water. Okay? So, only recently did we discover, or did we come to know that, wow, we finally understand what this verse means. Okay? So, could Job have known this by himself?
No.
No, right? Because God is the one who built the universe. He knows what's under the earth. Okay, so it kind of looks like this also. Okay, now, so can you start to believe that God is indeed the creator? Right. Now, let's move on to the fifth thing. I'll read this for you guys. Okay? So then God said, "Let the waters abound with abundance of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heavens." So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the water abounded according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that was good. Okay? And we see sea creatures and we are amazed by it, right? We see these beautiful sea creatures, the coral reef, the turtles. I don't know what these fish are. Does anyone know the name? No, maybe it's a zebra fish, I don't know. Okay, but even very, very big sea creatures that live very low in the sea.
Crabs are
Yeah,
low.
but crabs are very delicious too.
Yeah.
You see that God is creating these things for us to have, right?
They're
Okay?
dangerous.
But also God created the birds, right?
Yeah.
And we created the ostriches.
Chicken.
But did you know that the Bible also talks about ostriches? Okay? It says in the book of Job, "The wings of the ostriches, okay, wave proudly, but are her wings and pinions like the kindly storks." The important part is here. For she leaves, so the ostrich leaves its eggs on the ground and warms them in the dust. And it turns out that after ostriches lay their eggs, they actually just leave it there and go somewhere else for a while. Okay? And so, would Job have known this without the help of God?
No.
No, right? And so we can see that throughout the Bible is very much correct in whatever it says about these animals. Right? Because why? Because God created those animals, right? Yeah. Okay. So, but God also created birds who can do incredible things, like build crazy nests. So let's watch a video about that.
I know one. This is science.
Can I interest you in a condominium? I know one. It's available right now, over 100 units, one of the most efficient heating and cooling systems you can find, not to mention an ingenious security system to keep out the riffraff. There's one catch, though. You have to be a bird. A sociable weaver, to be specific, one of the more aptly named creatures in the animal kingdom, and the architect of one of the coolest structures you'll ever see built by a bird. Found mostly in the Kalahari Desert of southern Africa, these birds build communal nests that look like giant, enormous haystacks in trees and, in some cases, on telephone poles. The largest have dimensions in excess of 6 meters with up to 100 nesting chambers. In breeding season, that could mean up to 400 birds in one nest complex. The weavers use large twigs to construct the roof and dry grasses as insulation with green grass to keep the eggs from falling out. Thanks to the nest's sturdy and ingenious construction, they also retain heat extremely well. Scientists have found that even when the outside temperatures fell from 17 degrees Celsius to 0, the internal temperature of the chambers never fell below 16 degrees. And amazingly enough, some sociable weaver nests have been continuously occupied for over 100 years. So my favorite part of these nests are the sharp spikes of straw that are strategically placed throughout the tunnels, intended to ward off predators like snakes. Researchers report that reaching into one of these things is a painful endeavor. A lot of nest architecture is about deterring predators, and Montezuma oropendulas in Central America have come up with some innovative ways of keeping their eggs safe too. You can't miss their pendulous basket nests, especially since they tend to be grouped in colonies of 20 or more in a single tree. The females use vines and other plant fibers to weave the nests, a process that takes about 2 weeks. The final product is anywhere from 60 to 180 centimeters long and is usually suspended from a flimsy branch tip. This deters the pesky egg-eating monkeys, as does the location of the tree, or a pendulum.
So,
Yeah, that's
okay, so we see that God also gave these birds the knowledge to build these crazy nests. And they're actually, what he said was, they're actually nests that birds have lived in for over 100 years. And we don't even build houses that, last or we live in for 100 years, right? Well, I mean, we do have some houses, but it's rare, okay? And so, do you think the birds taught themselves to do these incredible
They
things?
can't talk,
Right, they
but
can't
they
talk.
can whistle.
Right, but so do you think they thought, okay, maybe we should just build like a big house for ourselves and start teaching our children to do that? No, right? They can't do that, right? So God gave these birds the knowledge to do these things. Okay? So it's very incredible. But also, so we talked about the birds. Now let's talk about the sea creature. And there's one little guy I want to talk about, and this is called the mantis shrimp. It's actually very pretty. Okay, so on the side it kind of looks like this. Whoa! It's very colorful. Right? That's why it's also called a peacock mantis shrimp, because it's colorful like the. Okay, but what's the most incredible part is not its color, right? I'm not talking about this because it's so beautiful, but because of this little thing right here. Okay? It has a punch that is very famous in the world. So I have another video.
No.
Right?
No. No, I heard about that. I heard about this. There's bad words in this. Yeah.
Look at my shorts. I better feel tired.
A mantis shrimp might not be a heavyweight, but ounce for ounce, it can throw some of the fastest and most powerful punches in nature. The mantis shrimp spots its prey with hexanocular vision. 2 eyes that have 3 focal points each. And so many light-sensitive cells they can see in the ultraviolet and infrared. With dinner in its crosshairs, the mantis prepares to strike. Running for cover under a discarded branch is useless. The club of a mantis shrimp can easily break quarter-inch glass. And the shell of a crab. The mantis stores energy in its arm. It works like a spring-loaded mechanism. When the energy is released, the mantis smashes its prey with the force of a .22 caliber bullet. Now that...
So, that shrimp, that little shrimp, can actually punch as fast as a bullet. Okay, so that's why I break that grass.
Is it like a kangaroo?
Kangaroo
like-
box.
Okay. So God has also given the shrimp the ability to punch like a boxer, even stronger than that, right? Right? I mean, even I can't really break the shell of a crab, but this shrimp can with a single punch. And so who designed this thing?
God.
God. God was the one who designed this thing. So it's incredible. So from what we can see, it's beautiful, it's complicated, right? So we can see who God is also. Alright, let's move on to the next day. And the 6th day. Let's read this together. God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind.
And beasts of the earth, each according to its kind. And it was so. And God
Okay? Right? But what did God say? He created
Okay.
everything according to its kind. So even among puppies and dogs, you have a bunch of different one of them, right?
Wow.
You know, which one? Say, do you have a dog breed that you like?
Ooh, I see it. I see it. I see mine. I see
Which
mine.
one do you like?
I see
Like
mine.
that one? Which one is that?
I see mine. I see mine.
Funny what?
That gray, white, husky looking guy.
Is that?
No, the one next to it. The one next
Oh,
to
this
it.
guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, okay. Me too. So for us, for the dogs are like our friends, right? So just in case you don't like one of them, right? God has prepared many different species for us to have as friends.
Wait, a spot dog, that's
There are
spot.
lots of different dogs here.
Dalmatian.
But so let's again see if God knows His animals. Okay. So in the Bible it says the hare. So hare is like a rabbit, but a bigger one. I'll read. The hare, because it chews the cud but does not have cloven hooves, is unclean to you. So the important part is the red part. Because it chews the cud.
What is that?
What does it mean to chew cud? It means cows do it. Okay? Cows do it. It means to basically chew food, right? They eat grass and plants, right? They chew food, and they put it in their stomach. Okay? They digest it a little bit,
They
right?
gobble it.
And then we just poop it out, right? That's us, right? Okay? But for animals like cows, right? They chew cud, and that means that they eat food, they digest it a little bit, but they actually bring it back up and actually eat it and chew on it more, and then digest it again.
It's like
And
when you
it's kind of disgusting.
It's like throwing it
But-
off a little bit.
I guess so. So that means they're chewing for a long time, Hey, you guys should chew food for longer before you
No,
swallow, right?
I would
Okay.
like that.
So cows do it for sure, right? Cows have like 5 stomachs, okay? So they bring it in there, they put it out, bring it into another stomach, put it out, like that. Okay? The cows are pretty insane.
It's supposed to be like
Yeah,
that.
but the Bible is telling us that
Disgusting.
hares do it too. Hares do it too. Right? He's wondering, right? But people was wondering, we've never seen rabbits do that. We've never seen hares do that. So the Bible must be wrong. But actually, it turned out that they were. So not long ago, they were actually studying rabbits to see how they live. Okay, but what they found out was that actually rabbits don't chew cud like cows do. They don't put it in their stomach and bring it back up, like throw it up. Okay, but rather they actually poop out their food once
And they eat it?
and they eat it.
No!
Okay? It sounds dirty. Okay, but they're made to do this. Okay, and so they digest it once. Okay, but it's still in that little poop. Okay? There's still nutrients and food like things that the rabbit can use is in there. So that's why he eats it again. So sometimes you would actually see a rabbit eat its own poop. But don't be disgusted by it. That's what they do. Okay?
I don't want to.
Okay, so the Bible was again good.
I already knew, but
The Bible was again proven to be correct. Okay? So you can see that, right? So God knows the animals too. So we're out of time, so we can't really look at it. Okay? We can see that even small things have really complicated things. Okay. Now, the highlight. What was the last thing that God created? Yes, Nina.
man and woman.
Right, man and woman. And who was it? Yes, you're a man, right?
Everybody.
Okay. So Adam and Eve, right? They're both man and woman, our ancestors, right? And so let's read this together. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. So this is the highlight of creation. God prepared all these things for 5 long days to basically give it to humans. And who are the humans? Us here, sitting here, right? Okay? So God created all these things to give to us, to provide for us, to give us somewhere to live. Right? So God at first created, of course, the Garden of Eden, like heaven on earth, right? And then He made Adam and Eve to live in. Right? So God is saying that, yeah, He created all these beautiful things, but why did He create them? He's saying that He created it for us, right? What is the Bible? What is the love letter from God? So He created all these things for us. And so He's showing His love to us. So I'll read this verse. For thus says the Lord, who created the heavens, who is God, so God is talking about Himself, right? Who formed the earth and made it, who has established it, who did not create it in vain, who formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is no other. Okay? So this red part says, who formed the earth to be inhabited. Does anyone know what it means to be inhabited? Does anyone know?
Inhabited.
Okay. Oh, can you take a guess?
Not habited?
Well, that's the opposite, right? Okay, so to be inhabited means for people who live in there. Okay, so this house right here, it's inhabited right now because we are in here right now. We're living in here right now. Okay? So God is saying that He didn't just create the earth just for no reason. He's saying that He created this for people to live in there. Okay? So it's not just for anything, but it was for us. Okay? We can see that God truly cares about us. Right? So it's for us. Okay. And also, the Bible tells us that God created us in His own image, right? Do you look similar to your parents?
But being Asian,
No, essentially, you look like your dad. But every kid does resemble their parents in some way. Maybe you resemble your mother or father. Okay? But God is also saying that He created us in His own image. Does that mean God looks like us? Like I am, or Stephanie? Right? Does that mean that? Well, not exactly. Okay? Because God is actually a spirit. Okay? We can't really see God because He doesn't have like body like us. You know? We can't really touch Him. Right? He's a spirit that we cannot see. Okay? And He's talking about the spirit that is in us. So like here, we're here, and there's a spirit that we can't see inside us that defines or that makes us who we are. Okay? So God is saying that this spirit inside us is similar to God. Okay? And that's the most important part. Our body is nice to have, right? But the most important part is actually inside us. It's who we are.
inside us, we can have
Okay? So always remember that as we're learning in the future, and tomorrow, and tomorrow's tomorrow. Okay, so let me ask you again. So who knows best about a house?
Me.
Gwen.